morning, RANS people, or maybe future RANS people, or maybe not RANS people. Good morning to you anyway. I just left Callahan here and heading east to Hayes. As you can see, we got a blizzard last night and really didn't leave much more than a good dusting of snow. But much as I do not like the heat, I'm not sure I'm ready for this nonsense. I'm wearing my shorts anyway, so I just refuse to give in to the fact that it was 10 degrees outside when I woke up this morning. All right, folks, I'm making my way out there and hopefully put together a decent video for you guys to see the factory and the S-21 and their other offerings, and just kind of the whole experience of what it's like to own a RANS and work with the company. They're a good company, good people, and hopefully I can share that experience with you guys. Here. That was a sporty landing. There's a lot of wind today. So, but yeah, made it. Let's go inside and check it out. There's the beauty. You know, they're both really nice, and I really actually like this gear. I like what they've done. The bigger hoop. That gear has got a lot of advantages, a couple disadvantages, but mostly advantages in my opinion. So actually for a nose wheel, that is freaking sweet. And that's coming from a guy who's put a lot of work into my own to make it work pretty well, and I feel like it does work really well. But that style they've got there with the spring bar is pretty awesome. Unless you're on like ice or snow, then it can be a little bit of a hassle, obviously. But that there is a beauty. And once people clear out over here, we'll take a look at the 915 S-21 over here, because that one is really freaking sweet.
100 installations of it right now, so they're a few thousand hours.
Building time. And
yeah.
So is the 915, is it any larger displacement than the 912? Or are they all on the same displacement?
So the 912 and has the same displacement as the 915. Yes. The 914 has the same displacement as the 80 horse. Yeah.
The carbureted turbo.
Carbureted version of the turbocharged. Yeah. So that has the 79 millimeter pistons, just like the 80 horse, and these have the 84 millimeter pistons. So there's 5 millimeters.
You guys know them for sure?
Yes, I want that. Just write him a check. I don't care if it belongs to somebody else already. Just write him a check.
Can you write it for a little extra? I wouldn't mind.
A little something, something.
Yeah, I'd like to upgrade a little bit.
He's a Todd too, so buy him one too.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this thing is beautiful. Just a quick FYI here. All these areas right here with the cables and the filters and all that stuff get trimmed out and covered up when the airplane's finished. This one just isn't quite done yet, obviously. So next part of this video, we'll move on to flight testing the Titan-powered S-21 and the 915 powered S-21. We didn't have time to actually rig cameras, so I was just doing some handheld shots. They're not very good. I apologize for the video. It's not very good. But I'll show you guys a little bit of the video while we were test flying it, and then give you some of my thoughts, both kind of initial thoughts after the fact, and then maybe some more thoughts on it after I've had time to think about it a little bit. But it was really fun, really neat to compare. The 915 S-21 is kind of in prototype mode right now with the cooling setup and the cowling. Control oil and water temperature are totally fine with room to spare. The intercooler charge temps are a little high. Turbochargers and superchargers compress the air, and that makes heat, and you have to take that heat back out. 915 has an intercooler, and the air coming out of that's running a little bit too hot right now. So they've got a new plan that should probably take care of that and get those temperatures back down where they belong, and then they can finalize the cowling setup and move forward, which is pretty exciting. So it's really close. We were just doing a little bit more testing with some tweaks they had made to see, and those temperatures are still a little high, but we were able to do a couple of climb tests and some cruise tests and get a little bit of data, and I was able to get a feel for the airplane, which was great, and I'll share that with you guys. All right, so I was able to fly the Titan and the 915 S-21s back to back, basically within 30 minutes of each other. So here's some of my initial thoughts. The Titan S-21 had the 141 wing, the standard length one. The 915 trike had the extended 141 wing. I didn't really notice any more adverse yaw with a longer wing. Neither one has even remotely an excessive amount of adverse yaw. So the wing flies great. It's very light on the controls, very little rudder. It's just a very nice, very quick flying wing. Now, I'm coming from a speed wing on my S6, and I really like how quick and nimble it is. I'd like to have more wing. I was able to get mine to fly pretty slow, considering I'd like to have more wing for what I'm doing, but it would be a little bit hard to give up that pretty fast roll rate, just very nimble and quick. And typically when I fly larger airplanes, they lose a lot of that. They get sluggish, they get slow, and the controls, nothing happens as fast as what I'm used to. Flying in the 21 is awesome because it's a bigger, heavier airplane, higher gross weight, bigger engine, so on and so forth. But that wing is still really nimble, and so I feel at home with that. So that was some of the first impressions as far as flying it goes. Comparing the power plants, the Titan climbs a little bit faster up until around 5,000 feet. Around 5,000 feet, seeing higher climb rates out of the Rotax. Neither of them have a variable pitch prop. The Titan is pitched a little bit more for cruise, so it's possible you could move that altitude up a little bit before the Rotax takes over, but somewhere in that 5,000 foot area is where I saw a definite difference. So yeah, the Titan does outclimb the Rotax down at lower altitudes, no question asked. It performs very well. But like I said, once you get up a ways, that 915 really starts to perform well. We were holding 1,450 foot a minute plus through 5,000 feet. Again, no variable pitch, and so I'm sure it's only going to get better. But that was pretty strong climb rate, and it seems to just maintain that on up. They both land pretty slow. Surprisingly, the 915 with the longer wing was not a lot slower, maybe a couple mile an hour. Now that's assuming that both these systems are calibrated exactly the same, which is probably not the case. Physics tell us that the 915, which is a lighter airplane with the longer wing, is definitely going to land a little slower than the Titan. Personally, I'd like to see VGs on these wings and just see what kind of effect it has. I'd expect to bring those numbers down, a nice chunk even further down. The 915 is just, I don't know, I really enjoyed that. It was a neat experience. The thing is super smooth, and it sounds like a turbine, and it's actually pretty darn quiet. I mean, it's an interesting experience to be behind that engine, but it's really makes for a nice setup. It's very simple to operate. Some people want to stay away from all the computer stuff, and I understand that. So the Titan, of course, is a good choice. But for high altitude guys like me, the Rotax is a clear winner because it's just gonna dominate up high. It was a good experience. Both are beautiful, easy to fly airplanes. When Randy landed the Titan S-21, I was really surprised how hard he could brake without there being any tendency to want to nose over. I mean, it's not, quite at like Helio Courier level where you can set the parking brake and land on pavement, but he braked pretty darn hard, and that thing, the tail stayed down, which with that big heavy engine in the front, I thought that is phenomenal. We had no weight in the baggage area or anything, and visibility is good. I would say an S7 has got maybe slightly better over the nose visibility from what I've seen. So I fly S7, a friend of mine's, here and there, and the visibility is amazing out of that 7. I would say the 21 is just a little bit less, but still really good. A lot better than a lot of tailwheel airplanes I've been in. In fact, probably better than everything else I've ever been in, minus the S7. The Rotax was a little bit slower for sure. The longer wing, the trike, all that stuff is a little draggier. It still maintained pretty good speed. If you want to lean on it pretty hard, you can get the speed even up a little higher, but of course your field burn goes up. So I'll wait for RANS to post more of the official numbers on that, and I would probably encourage you guys to do the same. Don't base too much off of my numbers here. This is like quick test flight, preliminary numbers, just kind of throwing some stuff out there to give you guys a general idea. So hopefully this helps. Sorry for the crappy footage, but maybe at least some of this will help you guys get a little clearer picture of the two versions of the airplanes here. So in the last part of the video here, I'm going to just show a little bit of the flying we did while we were out there in Kansas. This kind of pertains to what I said earlier in the video about, what's it like to be a RANS owner and have a RANS airplane, and what kind of adventures and fun can you get into. And it kind of goes along with that quote. I had an interesting experience out there. I normally am flying in the mountains. Most of my flying is mountain flying, and then it's extreme in the Rockies, and it's a ton of fun. It's very challenging, it's risky, it's rewarding, it's a lot of things. But going down to Kansas, everybody thinks Kansas is super flat and boring, and some of it is for sure. But my friend Cody took us around to some of his spots that he has that we can land and fly. And there's some hills and some trees and some lakes and some cliffs and just some nice terrain to fly around. And the airplane performs so well down there at low altitude. My airplane is an absolute monster down there. I couldn't believe the speeds and climb and just everything I was getting out of the plane. And I just really had a good time flying down there with some of my buddies. We had a couple different groups that we did some flying, and it was a good moment. It was a good experience. It was relaxing and fun, and not as stressful as flying in the mountains. And so every now and then it is nice to switch it up and do some flying like that. And I had a really good time down there. So I'll put together a little footage of that, just kind of show you what this, of course, is all about, you know. Comparing all these numbers and which tires and which engine and which this and which that. I mean, I get it. I'm an airplane dork, and I love dorking out on all the numbers, and I love to squeeze as much performance out of an airplane as I can. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that with mine. Believe me, there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of wasted money and time to get there. But I'm all about that. But at the end of the day, what's the point of all this? You know, you want to be able to hop in your airplane, take off, go out there, have a good time flying. Whatever the type of flying you do is, doesn't matter. But just go out there and have a good time. And I'll tell you what, you know, RANS is a good option. And there's other good options out there too. You know, I encourage people to research and really try to find what suits your mission best. But that is one thing I'll say for RANS. You know, they have a lot of different models, really cover the bases. And the 21 is probably one of the better attempts I've seen at a really well-rounded machine. I mean, it's fast, it's slow, it's pretty, it's agile, high gross weight, high G rating, lots of baggage, good visibility, easy to fly, you know, so on and so forth. You know, it's just it's a well-rounded machine. So anyway, guys, I hope you got something out of this. I know it was a really long video, but thanks for watching, and thanks to RANS for having us out there, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.